Alrighty, you clicked or tapped onto the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video, the Thursday evening edition here on the 5th day of September in 2024. Another beautiful day across the Valley today, but we do have a lot of changes to talk about, at least in the near term. Next week looks kind of boring, but in the next few days we've got some ups and some downs. First of all, it's Thursday, so we always look for the update from the U.S. Drought Monitor on Thursdays, especially when drought is an ongoing concern in the region, and it's been, really a summer of drought in the state of Ohio, especially in recent weeks. This is the beginning of June right here. Basically no drought in Ohio 3 months ago on today's date, but look at the increase in drought coverage ever since. And with today's update from the U.S. Drought Monitor, an exceptional drought, that's the highest category in this product. For 7% of Ohio now, 7.5% almost, we are now in an exceptional drought, and that's mostly concentrated in the southeastern part of the state, really from parts of Tuscarawas County through parts of Harrison County on southward into the Cambridge area, Parkersburg, Marietta, the Athens area, even just south of Columbus. There's some exceptional drought in those areas, and almost the entire state, I should say, of West Virginia, very, very dry. So while we are dry here locally in our television viewing area around the greater Youngstown area, it does get quite a bit worse off to the south. It's very rare to see an exceptional drought designation in our part of the country, let alone one that encompasses so much real estate in one part of Ohio. In the meantime, it is a beautiful evening, and of course the street fair kicking off in Columbiana with the parade this evening. Lots of folks enjoying a beautiful, comfortable, and sun-filled evening, not only in Columbiana, but throughout the rest of the valley. Did you see this? There was a large chemical fire in the Akron area today. So much smoke lofted into the atmosphere that even though we're not really close to the Cleveland radar site here in Akron, we are close enough that we did pick up some of the smoke, in fact quite a bit of it, on radar this afternoon. It started to fade away as we've gotten into the 6 o'clock hour, close to 7 o'clock, but this was pretty thick stuff and pretty easily detected on the radar, despite that not exactly being right by the Cleveland radar site. So the radar beam is up a couple of thousand feet above the ground. That's how high in the atmosphere some of that smoke was getting. All right, let's talk about our forecast for Friday night football. It's not looking great. Now, this does not mean in every single location there's going to be rain at kickoff Friday evening, but in a lot of places there probably will be. And there's a decent chance there's some lightning problems for parts of the area. Now, 24 hours in advance, we can't say where, but at least in parts of the area, we're going to have that chance of maybe some lightning delays, particularly, I think, early in our games. I think lightning will become a little less likely as we go deeper into the evening. Now, it is going to be a warm and increasingly humid afternoon as this cold front heads our way. We'll get into the 80s, but kickoff temperatures most likely in the upper 60s to around 70 Friday evening. With the Day 2 severe weather outlook, the Storm Prediction Center did actually put a good chunk of Ohio and western PA in the level 1 risk on our 1 to 5 scale. Any particularly ambitious storm tomorrow afternoon into early tomorrow evening could bring a strong wind gust, and some small hail will be a possibility as well. I don't think this is a big severe weather outbreak, and tornadic activity is certainly not likely, but a couple of ambitious storms will be a possibility. And overall, this front has looked a little faster on our recent model runs. Even as early as last evening when I recorded weather for Weather Geeks, the models were starting a trend of a faster approach of our showers and storms. So here's one run of this model showing our line of storms, showers and storms, as early as mid-afternoon. Now, I think this is probably a little bit too fast, but it shows, the general trend has been for some modeling to suggest that the main kind of band of showers and storms may occur early to mid-afternoon, or I should say mid to late afternoon. If that were to be the case, if this main band were to push through that early, that would actually be good news for football Friday evening, because if we were to get a band like this around, say, 4 o'clock, that would probably rob a lot of the juice out of the atmosphere as we got closer to kickoff, right around 7. And thunder and lightning chances would decrease, therefore, if that were to be the way things played out. Again, this is just one run of one model, but taken literally, this model would suggest by 7, 8 o'clock, yes, we have some showers around, but I think if this were to be the sequence of events, the thunder would be pretty much restricted to the front edge of this line, and that's getting well off to our south and east by about 7 o'clock or so. So we'll keep an eye on these trends. This is a solution that is a possibility. Is it the most likely solution at this point? I wouldn't say that. But if this trend were to continue, this faster trend, that would actually be some good news in terms of any potential, lightning delays across the area Friday evening. But we'll hang on to that chance for showers into the overnight. Now, this day on Saturday, kind of gnarly, a little October-like. We're about 6 weeks ahead of schedule with a kind of day like we're going to have Saturday, with temperatures struggling to get up to the lower 60s. Some breaks of sun, but also some pop-up showers and sprinkles a possibility. With a gusty northwest breeze, you'll need to bundle up if you're heading to the YSU game Saturday afternoon. Dress as if it were an October day, despite it being in the first 10 days of September. Showers and sprinkles will fade away, leaving us with a clear sky for the majority of Saturday night, and we look for lots of sunshine Sunday. Penguin game day forecast, Saturday afternoon. YSU taking on Valparaiso with a 2 o'clock kickoff. Very small chance of lightning in any of these pop-up kind of lake-enhanced showers. For the most part, it'll be sprinkles and showers that come and go. They might last a couple of minutes and then move on if we see any raindrops at all. The overall chance of any raindrops is on the lower side, but a pretty good chance, of course, that there'll be a cool, gusty breeze and temperatures no higher than the lower 60s. Some people might be tempted to turn on the furnace for the first time then Saturday night. My rule in my house is no furnace activity in September, but this will probably be the coolest night of the season in the most locations. We've had some nights lately this week in which the mercury has gotten down to 39 or 40 in some spots, but that's been kind of the exception. Saturday night, Sunday morning, there'll be a lot of places that probably try to touch 40 degrees for the first time this season. So the cool is not here for long, that is for sure. A beautiful day coming up next Monday, and then after that, look at this, summer's back. Lower and middle 80s, pretty common, middle and latter portions of next week. I want to talk about the longer range briefly in this video. Today's the 5th day of the month, so every month on the 5th we get an update from the long range, kind of seasonal European model, and we can look at month by month outlooks from this model, including seasonal outlooks. And as with any suite of modeling, we take this with a bit of a grain of salt as we get farther and farther out into time. But we're going to look at it this evening because now we're into September, and autumn and especially winter becoming more of an area of interest for a lot of people as we go into the final third of 2024. Here's this suite of modeling's outlook for temperatures in September. Not an especially hot month here locally, although I'll tell you, at the middle of the month, as I just showed you, is going to be pretty darn warm. So this map may not be quite warm enough in a lot of the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. Pushing this forward into October, not a lot of cool advertised in the modeling here, this model anyway, for the month of October. Here locally, I am expecting a warmer than average month in October. November, as I talked about a few days ago on the video that I did with regards to the autumn forecast, November's kind of a wild card. It can go either way. This model run has a pretty warm-looking November, but I think November has a pretty good chance of also being cooler than average. A lot of the years in the past that we think are pretty similar to this fall had some cool Novembers. Some of them were warm, so we're not going to close the book on a warm November, and we're going to take this model output into consideration certainly. But I think November is a real wild card. Now, when we zoom all the way out to the kind of global view of ocean temperatures here, it's an interesting run of the European seasonal in that it really kicked up La Nina pretty strong, or stronger anyway, than its previous run later this fall and into the winter season. So this is the sea surface temperature anomalies during meteorological winter, December, January, and February. Here's your La Nina right here. Almost a basin-wide La Nina, trying to almost go central base. Now, you'll hear me talk about La Nina in my winter forecast coming up in about 2 months, and it's important the configuration of La Nina when it comes to our winter forecast. A central-based La Nina, in other words, a lot of the blues here, if they're kind of more towards the central Pacific as opposed to the eastern Pacific, that would tilt the odds in favor of a pretty warm winter here locally. An east-based La Nina, if you see a lot of the blue colors closer to South America, that would tilt the odds in favor of a cooler winter season. So with this idea that the European has on its September run of a kind of a basin-wide or almost trying to be central-based La Nina, it's no surprise that this is its temperature forecast for the winter season. Blowtorch City, look at all the warm anomalies it's forecasting for the winter season, and that's pretty much a direct result of what it's trying to forecast for the La Nina. But it may not have the La Nina right, but if it's onto something with the La Nina, that it's kind of a basin-wide La Nina and not an east-based La Nina, we could be in for another very mild winter. But if it is more central-based, or I should say more east-based, rather than basin-wide or central-based, then that'll open up the door to the possibility that this winter will be unlike the last few, which have been, of course, pretty darn warm. All right, we've gone long this evening. Thanks for sticking with me on Weather for Weather Geeks, and we'll keep you updated on the rain chances for Friday Night Football, of course, on social media, the Storm Tracker 21 app, and all our newscasts. Be sure and tune in tonight at 11, or a little after 11 probably, since we have football on the air tonight. And if you're an early riser, check out Jimmy's forecast tomorrow morning on WFMJ Today, starting bright and early at 5 a.m.